Hey, everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here to welcome you to the third episode of Comic Book This or That. If you wonder why I'm constantly looking at the camera and then down at my phone and then over at the TV, it's because the Chiefs are ready to defend the crown, and my crappy downstairs TV functions like it's 1801, so I can't get the TV on to watch part of the game. So it's somebody's duty to actively troll me and let me know how bad the Texans are winning, because I would tell somebody to really give the score, and then you would be probably fucking with me at the end of the day. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. Sorry that we took last week off, but life got in the way for literally, I think, all of us involved. That we had people who needed to spend time with a kid. I had to actually do my job for the first time. People were tired. Justin Birch is actively lettering every comic that is written under the sun at this moment. So we pushed it, but we're here. We're ready to go. I even think, our little bet was whether or not Meta would show up, but I think we are confirmed for a Meta4ickal appearance. If not, JB will get what might very well be his first victory on some kind of somebody else's game show stream. So we're very excited for this to happen. So I wanted to do what I've done all the time. We'll say hello to everybody in the chat. Rob Boswell, who is one of our judges, is in the house. He literally beat me to the stream. Like, I got downstairs, plugged all my stuff in, logged in, and Rob was like, "Hi, I beat you here." So he is more of a professional than I am on my own channel. We've got the immortal Biggie Shack, who I'm sure is going to be keeping the chat alive and happening tonight. We got Ruben. Ruben, thanks for stopping by tonight. We have the third member of the Comic Burrito in the chat, who I believe in talking to the other two members of the Comic Burrito has been placed on the sideline from debates because they think if he were to open his mouth, he would just go, "Yeah, what the other guy said is right." We got my boy Whack Comics in the house. I'll drop Lee's link here in a second. When I was watching his newest song that came out, I think today, it looked like he was only like 6 subscribers away from 100. If you want to watch somebody who's doing something truly different than what anybody else who is creating any kind of comic book content is doing, you should check out my favorite Aussie, Lee. Let's see, and now it's Rob and Lee going back and forth in the chat. I think we had a K Titus sighting. Oh, there's Nick. Apparently he's being funded by George Soros, so that works. We got the boy who had 7, Mr. 98 himself is here, and I can see him in the green room. It looks like he's driving to maybe another Texas football game. K Titus is already attempting to stuff the ballot in favor of JB. And I think that's everybody who's here for now. We'll see if we've got more folks who show up closer to go time when the first debate will begin right at the top of the hour. So I wanted to do 2 things in the pregame. First, I kind of wanted to bring everybody up to speed on the bracket since we've been on a week, off a week, on a week, off a week. So if we look over at the bracket challenge over on the challenge website, in the first debate, we had Mo advance over Steve of Burke Family 54, and we had Bruce and Stephanie advance over the immortal Biggie Shack, and we'll see if Biggie is still grumpy about that in the chat, that he can start firing shots at people. We have the bearded comic bro advancing, and then in a very close debate from 2 weeks ago, we had Adrian APM sneaking it out on a 2-1 decision against Lost in Comics. And if you want to see Adrian not only do a ridiculously good Joker impression, but almost like destroy his throat from sustaining that impression for half an hour, go back and watch the beginning of episode 2 because it was very, very fun to watch him do his thing in this context that he went whole ham. So that sets up the following 2 debates in the quarterfinals. We've got Dudes Talking Comics against Bruce and Stephanie. And I don't know if it's luck of the draw or not, but we've already selected topics for that debate. And Mo gets to debate about movies again, which is his A game. The second quarterfinal debate in, 2 weeks is Bearded Comic Bro versus Adrian APM. And I believe they might have the perfect topic for putting those 2 boys together. The topic is who is the best comic book animal, but I won't tell you which 2 options they selected. Tonight we've got 4 amazing competitors from 4 stellar channels coming in to throw hooks at each other in terms of advancing to the next round of the tournament. We've got the Mafia Don himself of the Midnight Mafia, Meta4ickal Comics, is taking on the voice that we all used to watch in the middle of the day, but now we kind of wake up to it sometimes, or it's in the middle of the day again, depending on whatever it looks like when he's got to homeschool his kiddos. It's Meta and JB of Discovery Bay, and tonight they're debating the topic, who is the best Marvel franchise team, the X-Men or the Avengers? And Meta4ickal has opted to defend the X-Men, and JB is taking the Avengers. And then in the second debate of this evening, we've got the boy who had 7 up against 2/3 of America's favorite comic-themed burrito. And they are debating who is the best mega villain, because I had no other better phrasing to put there. But Matt, the boy who had 7, is defending Thanos, and the comic burrito is defending Darkseid. And I really think the reason why Nick is in the chat, especially when it gets to the burrito debate, is to see if he just types Darkseid is into the chat like every 15 seconds, because I wouldn't be surprised by that whatsoever. So the 2 debates we see tonight, the victors of each will line up in the next quarterfinal round. And then in next week's episode, we have the final round of preliminary debates, where we've got TK's Batcave taking on the Superpower Review, and I think they're debating what is the best superpower. And then the matchup rounding out the first round is Chaos and Comics versus Two Brothers Comics, and I believe they are debating who has the best rogues gallery, either Batman or Spider-Man. So that's what we've got coming up next week. The last thing I wanted to bring you all up to speed on as we look at the bracket. Remember, before episode 1, we kind of I stalled so we could have some time for people to fill out some brackets, and we can see where people are standing. So right now, there are 2 people tied with a score of 3. In first is the low-seeded Bearded Herald, which I'm going to guess that's Greg, because they picked Bearded Comic Bro to win. They've got a higher pick potential score and a higher remaining potential score to exist, because the individual who is in second place, also with 3 points, picked the immortal Biggie Shack to take it all home, but we know what happened to Biggie in the first round. The individual who has 2 correct predictions so far, that's sitting in third, is betting the farm on JB to pick it up tonight, and that's where we're standing there. I will show you, Rob has sent me another little taste of what the slab looks like that he is giving away to the winner of the bracket pool. So I told you in looking at it that we know it's Spider-Man themed. And we saw that from the first picture that was a little piece of Spidey. So now we can see that there are some Spideys, and that looks like a Iron Man there. Apparently, I've just left that K Titus is repping JB up on the screen for a while. So there you go for your free advertising, JB. So we've got that there. And then as we get ready to wrap things up in the pregame, I will share with you some information that broke last night. Oh, nope, I can't do it because the video is too big. So I will find a way to play it, and then we'll talk about it later. But at the conclusion of Meta and JB's debate, Meta is going to talk about a pretty awesome opportunity of some real, I believe the term now is minty fresh pickle bangers with extra banger sauce that is coming to you exclusively from the Midnight Mafia. So yeah, the last thing that I'll do before we bring in the competitors for this evening, assuming that Rob is still sitting there in front of his computer, and he is, Rob and I are the two judges for this evening. So Rob, how does it feel to be are you a papaw, a grampy, a peepaw?
Well, technically, I guess I've chosen Pappy. So that's what I'm going to get on all my T-shirts. So, no, it's cool. She's a little bitty thing. We've seen her a couple times. So, yeah, I feel old, really.
They'll do that to you, but congratulations on the new edition, and I'm assuming everybody is good and everybody is happy or healthy.
Yep.
And you're probably happy because they're not sleeping, but you are.
Definitely. That's what my wife, it's like, okay, I'm done, and gave her back to our daughter-in-law. And I said, that's the best thing about being grandparents is we can give them back to the parents. So
yep. Both sets of our kids' grandparents live like 45 minutes on either side of us. So it is always good because they'll come get them all riled up when they're about to leave and then be like, ha, we're gone.
Here's some sugar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad that everybody is doing well on your end, and we'll see if anybody else has hopped in before we get down and ready for tonight's action. We got Cap'n Comics in the house. Every time I see him in a chat, he always manages to say some wild shit that makes me laugh more than I thought I could. We have my name clone in the house. If you want to check out somebody who is doing some pretty cool things over on their channel, check out Remy Q Studios. That he's doing a lot of analysis content, a lot of unboxing stuff. I think his wife might let him use a chainsaw to open something, which would be dope. And then I think the only other new face that I've seen in here is one of my favorite new channels that does a bunch of pop content. It's What Did Dada Buy Today? It is a mother-daughter team, and they open up things that were bought on the internet by Daddy. And I will say that Dada has some amazing taste and is able to find some dope things. And the daughter of that team, her lip gloss is popping. And that's what she let you know in today's video. It is some of the most adorable stuff that I have ever seen. So I think it is time. Yes, it is 8:01, so we will start doubly late today because it is time for us to do this. All right, I'm going to send Mr. Boswell to the backstage, and I will begin welcoming our competitors. So thank you, Rob. We will see you again in a little bit. All right, welcoming first to the stream, the man who gives us everything that we need to know and reminds us every day that no matter what, we had a good time. That when he said yes to doing this, I was quite surprised. But I also learned that he had a little twitch of the fear as well, because for as successful as he is helping build the community and promote everybody and host his pop-up shops. And he has the patience to wait 4 months to open a Comic Tom box. Apparently, he does not do so well when he is on streams like this. And I assured him that I believed in him. So everybody, welcome to the stream. My favorite morning voice and yours, Mr. JB from Discovery Bay.
How you doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Pretty good. I'll make you biggie size.
That's great. No,
how do you feel about the debate?
Man, everybody knows what's going on. I'm not prepared, and I think that's the best way for me to roll with this. We're just gonna go ad hoc. I actually forgot which side I had to defend until I was in that 15-minute preview just now, and you were started recapping it. And I'm like, oh, I'm on that side. Okay, so let's just flip the script a little bit. We'll turn the paper this way. No,
nice.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready
we'll
to
see.
I'm not ready.
I believe you. Well, I know that
I'm ready to have a good time, and that's what's important.
I'm excited.
I want to thank everybody who's joining us, by the way. Thank you for taking the time this evening to hang out with us and sit back and relax, because it's not just going to be me getting my butt whooped tonight, but there's going to be another matchup later on, and you're not going to want to miss that one either.
Yeah, we will see if
Cheers
there are shenanigans abound. All right. The next individual that I will invite to the stream, I'm surprised that we are actually seeing his face, because as someone who's gone back and watched a lot of his non-auction content, normally it is just the man with the golden voice, the man who is the voice of the Midnight Mafia, the Late Night Lunatics, and the one who helps bring all kinds of steals and deals to the YouTube comic community, the man, the myth, the legend, the Meta4ickal. How are you doing
party
tonight?
People?
Oh, I like you repping the Loki Funko Pop shirt today. Did you get that in the collectibles exchange?
Yes, I did.
Nice. So, you want to tell everybody about the big news that you dropped last night, since the video was too big for me to load into StreamYard?
Yeah, well, you know, if you came by the stream last night, you guys will know that Midnight Mafia is going to have an exclusive cover drop in for crossover #1, the new Donny Cates book that's coming out on Image. So the artist that we have is Justine Franny. So I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check her out, but yeah, go definitely check her out. Right now, we're selling the sets for $50. That is a trade and a virgin together as a set. The cover is secret right now until she completes. She didn't want us to release the cover until she was completed, but let's just say that you guys will be happy with the result. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions, DM me on IG. We just released it last night. I'd say almost 24 hours ago, and we're probably like 10% sold through the run already. So if I was you guys, I would jump on it before there's none left. So
then I'll make sure to add Meta's Instagram information and JB's Instagram information to the ticker below. And if for some reason you're insane and are not subscribed to either of these gentlemen, you will find not only their links to their channels in the description below, but also the links to everybody else who has signed up to compete, to judge, to do all of those different things. So the topic that we have at hand for tonight is who is the better Marvel franchise team, with JB defending the Avengers and Meta defending the X-Men. So the last thing that I'm going to do before I just become a timekeeper and someone who takes some notes, we are going to add a lovely coin flip to the stream. All right, Meta, you call it heads or tails?
heads.
It is tails. JB, would you like to speak first or second?
I'll go second.
Alrighty, then I'm going to start a timer on crap. Houston is winning. That's not the news I wanted from my phone. I'm going to start my timer, although Travis Kelce is in the red zone and I need him for my fantasy teams so I can beat the Comic Burrito. All right. So, Meta, I will start the timer whenever you start speaking, and you've got 3 minutes to start at your leisure.
All right, so let's just start. I'm gonna kind of go off of these in order, random order, try to get all of them fit in by the 3 minutes, right? So the first reason why I would say that the X-Men is better than the Avengers is because this is probably one of the most underrated reasons. I'd say the X-Men is the most fashionable superhero team in Marvel, like just based on their coordinated outfits, like their matching uniforms, color coordinated teams, what they did to like superhero costume design in general, like with Lee and stuff like that. Beyond that, I would say that they were more dominant overall in like mainstream comic collecting. I would say the Avengers weren't really popular until like the MCU. So where the X-Men have had like a longer, more dominant, iconic history in comics. That can be shown in a couple of ways, like spin-off teams, for example. Like with the Avengers, they only have like the West Coast Avengers and the Secret Avengers. Or with like the X-Men, they have Alpha Flight, Excalibur, New Mutants, X Factor, X Force, and kind of to follow up on that point, like most of the X-Men get popular through like an X-Men comic and then get their own comic, where it's the opposite with the Avengers. Like they're already popular and then they make like a super team with the Avengers. Another thing that follows up on that point is kind of like how they were formed. So the Avengers were more like picked as part of like an initiative where the X-Men are more like mutants and they take whoever's a mutant. So like you don't really have to be picked per se to be like X-Men, where you have to be like selected and they come together for like a common cause for the Avengers. So I would say that overall the X-Men is like a more stable team, where the Avengers only come together when they need to fight like a common threat, and then they basically like kind of disband. Besides that, where the X-Men are like, since they have the school and they're more like an institution and like an idea, like an allegory versus a business. Like the Avengers operate more like an agency. And to touch up on that, I would say it's just more dynamic with the whole mentor rookie dynamic that exists with the X-Men. And also like the X-Men have been politically correct before it was like cool. I mean, that's the whole basis of like their team. Beyond that, I mean, even I would say Marvel themselves have kind of put it to rest when they were saying about how mutant kind were the most powerful people on the planet, and that X-Men are the defenders of mutant kind, and that so X-Men are supposed to be like the world's most powerful protectors. So like they're basically the Avengers, and this is like a direct quote from him, but he's like, but except they're better and that there's more of them. So with that, let me see if I touched make sure I touched on all my points.
Well done.
So yeah,
man.
besides that, I would say that I pretty much took Nemesis.
Nope, that's your 3 minutes, Meta.
Oh, all right. I was about to get to Nemesis. I'll follow up on that. I'll follow up on Nemesis and like writers and stuff.
Let's mute him now. So
all right, JB, you've got 2 minutes to ask.
Before I have a question for you. What are we debating here? Because I thought this was the more important franchise to Marvel.
Yes.
What was the question again?
Who is the better or the more important franchise team? The X-Men or the Avengers?
The more important franchise team to who? To Marvel?
To Marvel. I took it as Marvel comics.
In
general, who is the more
topic
important?
Doesn't specify to Marvel, to fans, to comics.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So JB,
who is the more important team?
You've got 2 minutes to ask Meta some questions.
Ask Meta some questions. Interesting. Okay. First of all, I love the points. You're killing it. Number 5, politically correct. Love that. That's one of the things that drew me to the X-Men. But honestly, can't you tell me that Avengers weren't politically correct before? I mean, weren't they first?
See, I wouldn't argue. I'm not
African American member in comic books isn't that
I'm not saying that they have
not
exclusive.
only are now isn't that important to the cultural history of the country, having T'Challa be a part of the Avengers? That was a huge thing that happened in comic books. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, but it's not like their central mythos. Where with the X-Men, it's their central mythos is that they're a minority, that they're marginalized, that they face prejudice. So like most marginalized groups identify with them. That's why X-Men has been so dominant up until when Marvel thrust the Avengers into like the public eye with the MCU. I mean, no one's going to argue that
we'll touch on the
Avengers.
We'll touch on the MCU
no one's going to
later.
argue that traditionally the Avengers were as popular as the X-Men before they came out with the movies.
Who was published first? I think the Avengers were published.
I'm saying who was more dominant. I mean, wasn't the whole argument with the comic book crash was like what's the top selling comic book of all time? X-Men number 1, 8 million
X-Men number 1
plus comics. 8 million. 8 million.
8 million? That's a lot of comic books. Man, I will give you that. That's a lot of comic books. But we will come back later when we talk about, the Avengers and their importance to what's going on now. And we're talking about money, because when it all comes down, it comes down to the money. And can you tell me right now in the cinematic world, who has the top grossing films? Or is there an X-Men film in the top 10 grossing films?
No, but
is it that popular a franchise that people will spend their money to go to the theater to see the X-Men?
I'll concede that point, but we also have not seen
spend their money on the X-Men, or will they spend it on the Avengers? Because right now, I think they're not.
All right, both of you.
Do I get a chance to respond to that or no?
No, we'll let JB's extra posturing during cross-examination cancel out like the extra 45 seconds and name dropping that you got at the end of your speech. All right.
I love it. Good stuff.
JB, you've got 3 minutes to present your case, and I will start when you start.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's get started right off the bat. I think I misinterpreted the question. I actually originally was thinking which team, the X-Men or the Avengers, was more important to Marvel as a franchise. Or actually, I think my point, it will work either way, because let's be realistic with each other. When we talk about importance to when we talk about importance to us as fans, we talk about money and what do we spend our money on. And when it comes down to that, I don't think anybody could debate that the Avengers right now are the hottest franchise going over the X-Men. And does the Marvel Cinematic Universe have something to do with it? Darn tootin' it does. But that's just the way it is. Did you know? I didn't even know this. Endgame is the number 1 all-time grossing film at $2.79 billion, outgrossing Avatar and Titanic. Avengers have 4 of the top 10 grossing films, period. Now, that translates into more than just films. It does translate into apparel and all of the toys, and look around and the impact. Okay, now, the X-Men, yeah, great franchise. Don't get me wrong. But comic book-wise, you're going to tell me they're the best? They had to reprint the first 40 issues of that thing until you got a writer to come along, right? Right? Seriously, it was not a good comic book when it started. It may be a good comic book now and maybe, better. But when we talk about what is more important to the public, we talk about what are we willing to spend our money on. And I think right now, bottom line is we're willing to spend our money on the Avengers. And I think it's proven we can go crunch some numbers and not just look at movies. We could probably look at big time events in Marvel history have really been centered around more Avenger teams than they have X-Men. Well, man, we just had the House of X, Powers of X, but last year prior to that, it was a story coming off of the Avengers team. Now, we talk about the Avengers team itself. I want to battle a couple things. You mentioned fashionable. Let's just skip that. That's kind of crazy. Can't believe you even mentioned fashionable. But dominant and collecting longer. Dominant in collecting longer, the X-Men? No. Avengers by far been collecting, was published first, right? Major crossover events first happened in the Avengers, correct? Don't get me wrong there. And when you talk about spin-offs, oh my goodness, all the different characters. Come on. Number 3, how are they formed? You said that the X-Men are not picked. They were absolutely picked. They were handpicked by Professor Xavier. So were the Avengers. You know what? Every mutant isn't an X-Men. That's kind of what you said there, you know, but it's definitely not what's happening. When you talk about mentors, yes, Professor X was a great mentor, but some of the best mentors, look at the captains. Captain America.
I'm not good at pushing buttons. All right.
Stop. Not quiet.
No, you did stop. See, I only have 2 buttons to push. I'm not fancy with the OBS like y'all, and I can't even make it work. All right. Meta, you got 2 minutes to ask JB questions, and I'll start when you start.
All right. So to touch up on some of his points, like with the X-Men versus the Avengers in the MCU, I mean, we haven't seen a proper X-Men movie be released in the MCU, so that is basically comparing apples to oranges. So once we get our first X-Men movie, our proper X-Men movie with the same individuals that did the rest of the MCU movies, then we can kind of begin to make a fair comparison between who's more dominant.
Plenty of X-Men movies, plenty of popular X-Men movies, and it's not popular enough to be a top 10 grossing film.
So, like I said, I've conceded the most popular. That is, they took the ball and ran with it once they made the Avengers popular. But traditionally, over comics, like before there was even the MCU, there were several X-Men movies made by different companies. So, obviously, that was the more dominant franchise. Like when Fox and all these people were trying to make movies, they didn't go and get Avengers comics because those wasn't what was popular. Like I'm saying, no comic book is sold as much as X-Men #1 until you can find me a comic. Avengers sold at the same time as X-Men #1. Where's where's Avengers title? Where is Avengers title that is sold 9 million?
Show me an Avengers title. X-Men #1.
Show me an Avengers title that has sold 9 million cop units. Mm-hmm. Show me one.
I think X-Men #1 at 9 million units sold is the reason. Actually, I don't know if it's sold. 9 million units produced is the reason why there was a bubble crash, because you didn't need a bajillion different covers, and it started Avengers downfall.
Those were not Avengers comics being bought. So there is no point in history where there has been 8 million Avengers comics that have changed hands.
I 100% agree. Now I'll tell you what.
Hold on. I'll circle back. I'll circle back because we don't got much time
and
left.
It's worth about a half a day's worth of movie money.
Are you
all right? I'm gonna let Meta ask maybe the first question
the Avengers,
of this, and then we're done.
Are you arguing that the Avengers have more iconic writers in comics and stories? Are you saying that the X-Men do not have more iconic stories in comics? I'm just asking as a basic question.
I don't think I ever mentioned anything about iconic stories. I think we were talking about the more important franchise to, us as collectors.
Well, that's right. Well, one of those things would be,
and I'm thinking globally, I think it's clearly demonstrated that the more important franchise is the Avengers, based on the fact that people spend their money on it. And it's clearly demonstrated by the amount of money that's spent on toys.
You're using movies. You're using movies as your game.
I'm using money.
I'm going to cut you off because I think you might run out of arguments. And that's like 3.5 minutes instead of 2. So I'll give Meta 30 seconds to take a deep breath, and I will let you know if you're not looking at the chat. They think both of you all are killing it so far in terms of quality of arguments. So at least you all are
going to bring it.
Y'all are bringing it. So Meta, you ready to go?
Sure.
All right, you've got 2 minutes to make your arguments, and I'll start when you start.
All right. So to follow up on his point about the money, so like it depends on what gauge you're using. Like I'm saying, are you using just the success of the movie, or like are you using the most successful comic book? So like first we have to establish what barometer you're using to call success. And since the MCU is relatively new to traditional comic collecting, I'm more liable to go with the overall history of comics. And like I'm saying, to me, it's the writers for Avengers. I mean, you have like Claremont, Kurt B, John Hickman, Peter, David, Bendis, Aaron Gillen, Remender, Lee, Morrison, Simonson, Whedon. I mean, the two best, I would say, runs in Avengers are like Kurt B. So, like, in Hickman, dude. But, like, you're talking about versus Claremont and Stan Lee and Morrison and Simonson and Whedon and Aaron and Bendis. Like, all of them have good X-Men runs. And, like, I'd say maybe there's a couple writers that have had long, decent Avengers runs. So to follow up on that, like I'm saying, until we see a proper movie from the X-Men in the MCU, then we won't know how popular their X-Men are, even in pop culture, until they're given the same treatment. I mean, almost every movie that's came out in the MCU has done $1 billion. Does that mean? And these are characters that were traditionally not popular. So imagine characters, like I'm saying, that are like Wolverine and stuff like that, that are much more popular traditionally in pop culture than the Avengers, who were just made popular through the MCU. So, like I'm saying, one is like a new kid on the block. The other one's like the vet of dominance, in my opinion. So,
alrighty.
Very nice.
JB.
Very nice.
You got 2 minutes.
All right,
I'll start when you start.
We can start right now. First, I want to start by setting an apology to everybody out there. I really thought that I was debating the importance, which was the more important franchise to Marvel. But that's not what it was. It's really about what's the more important franchise, maybe just to fans or maybe to me. And in that case, I think I still win this point. Now, when we talk about the Avengers and the characters about the Avengers and the stories that Marvel has written in comic books based around the Avengers, there have been huge events that have changed Marvel history, like Civil War, for instance. I won't go into all of them, but yes, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has made a huge impact on everybody. But are we talking about now, later, history? History for anybody that's watching is now, as far as I'm concerned, and we're projecting forward. I see the next phase of movies and the next phase of toys and the next phase of everything still being built around the Avengers. We hear talk about something happening with the X-Men, and yeah, they got a pretty cool comic book going right now. But in mainstream world, if I go step out in my court and say, hey, what's up, fellas? Tell me about the Avengers or the X-Men. They're going to tell me about the Avengers.
I said, if you're talking today,
Hold on.
Does he get to talk? Whoa.
No.
I don't need my whole 2 minutes. I'm good
all
there,
right.
But he doesn't get to rebuttal in that.
Done. All right. I will give you all, since this has been fiery and feisty and the two of you have had back and forth, I will give you 2 minutes to go back and forth and ask questions, essentially cross-talking over each other like you did in the first two anyway. So give the people more chaos and drama before we get to our... Yes, give the people what they want, and then we'll move to closing statements. So you both have 2 minutes to posture, and we will enjoy it and soak it all up.
Meta, I want to be cordial, so I don't want to just step over you, but honestly, I want you to take my last point and talk to that. If you were going to step out and talk to the neighbors, remember, because we're talking about the impact of the franchise, which one of these two franchises is more kind of iconic or more important to a mainstream world now. If you were going to step out of your front door and talk to your neighbors and say Avengers or X-Men right now, honestly, can you tell me you think you're going to get today, right now, you think they're going to say X-Men?
I will concede the point that today in pop culture that the Avengers have more mind share. I will concede that point. But even to allude back to some of your point to kind of undercut it, I wouldn't even say that that's correct. That if you asked anyone, your neighbor, who Wolverine is, they know.
Okay. But
So
I mean, come on.
I would
Captain
say
America, we can
just
go
as the same
Iron Man
the
right
same
now. These
person,
characters are
the same
in
person,
their eye. They're in their face.
the same person who would know who the Avengers are if they're not a comic book collector is the same person that would know who Wolverine is. And I bet you they knew of Wolverine first. Because he would have
I don't
been,
disagree with that
like
point.
I'm saying, you can't, we talk about these comics before there was stuff like mega corporations like Disney and them pumping the MCU. X-Men X-Men sold 9 million copies. Like I'm saying, there is no Avengers. Is there an Avengers comic that has even sold 4.5 million?
Yeah, but that 9 million stop with that 9 million copies. That a lot of that was a bunch of speculation and craziness, and that's part of the reason why there was a bubble. That particular book.
I'm just asking.
I want to go back to.
I'm just asking. Is there an Avengers comic? Is there an Avengers?
I remember when I was a kid, I'm X-Men. Dad, I want to buy X-Men. And you know what my dad said? You should be buying a Fantastic Four and Avengers. Why? Because that's old school. Avengers is old school and it's new school. So it covers the gambit right there.
Is there the Avengers comic that has sold 2 million copies?
Who cares? Is there a movie in the top 10?
Let's say this. Speculators out of it. And
have you spent more money in the last
35% of the purchases? Then is there an Avengers comic that has sold even a quarter of X-Men #1?
I'll let JB answer that, and then we'll pause.
That as far as the comic sell, no, care not. Don't care.
All right. So
not important to the debate.
You each have 2 minutes to make your
another 2 minutes.
Yep.
You gotta be kidding me.
Go first.
This is your last 2 minutes to make your final sales pitch to myself, to the unboxing king of the South, and most importantly, to the good people who are in the chat. And Patrick Mahomes scored another touchdown. Thank you, Nick. All right, so Meta, I will start your 2 minutes when you begin.
All right, so I think that the thing that kills JB's whole argument is that he bases his argument on the MCU, which is not even the comic media itself. And then if you look at the comic media, which is where all of this even comes from, there would be no MCU without comic books. And in comic books, X-Men is outsold Avengers. It has more spin-off teams, which means why did they spin off comics? Because they're popular. So there's a reason why there's only 2 spin-offs for the Avengers and there's like 5 or 6 for the X-Men, because they've been more dominant in the mind share over comics. So I don't really think there's much else to say. I mean, if his whole argument is based on just the MCU and movies, which are not comic books, then I would say that's a poor argument, because if you look at the media and where at comic books, X-Men is sold more, has more spin-offs, has more popular characters before the MCU, before movies, which are not comic books. So there's nothing else to say after that, I don't think. So that you can, I'll concede the rest of my time to JB.
All right. So
Wow.
JB,
Cool.
You've got 2 minutes to make your final point.
Got 2 minutes. The final points. Okay. I'm just going to start with, I'm going to go with simple, most important franchise. Most important franchise. I don't know, man. I see one franchise that is raking in a ton of money right now. And I know it's not just about the money, but it ain't just about the comic books either. It ain't about one comic book selling a bunch. It's about longevity. My dad was old school. He wanted that my dad was old school. He was talking Avengers and Fantastic Four. I wanted the X-Men when I was a kid. I'm just telling you. I was about to battle the other side too. But how can you go wrong with the Avengers as a franchise? The most important franchise. Clearly, it is so cut and dry. It's the most important franchise going right now. Look at the money that it is generating for Marvel. Look at the jobs it has created for the economy. Look at what the Avengers is clearly the more important franchise. Period. Done.
All right. So I am going to put a link to the straw poll in the chat, and I will give the chat a few moments to do their thing. And Rob knows that once he has made his decision, he'll let me know in the private chat, and I will give the chat a few bonus 30 seconds once we get up to, the number of people who are watching versus the number, of people in the chat. So as I kind of think about this on my own, what did you gentlemen think about debating like this?
2 thumbs up, man. It's awesome to.
Yeah, it was good. It was a fun time.
I will
Absolutely.
say one of the things that you all have done to
you show that you're passionate about these books.
Well, and I think what you all did to a level better than anybody who preceded you was just your use of evidence, right? It's clear that Meta researched number of comic book sales. It's evident that JB did the same kind of research on top films and merchandise and that kind of stuff. So I think you all did kind of a good, fantastic job, and I will definitely tell everybody else who's left to compete to look at this as an example of what to kind of do to step up your game. And shit, there is a good chance that I have freshmen who've never seen a real debate before in their life that I might show this to them too, because I think you all right now for me are the most competitive debate of the first round so far, and it was great.
Hey, we always bring the heat, man. So I'm interested to see the results from the chat. So
yeah, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat again right now. Only 6 people have voted. Rob has made his decision.
Drop them votes, you
come on,
let's the mafia
vote in.
You don't want the mafia to come to break those legs.
Yeah.
Hit them votes. Hit them votes. You know who to vote for.
But the other fun thing too is that y'all.
Hey, you made some strong points though, JB.
Well, and that was the other thing that you both did, right?
I was ready to argue the other side.
Instead of getting stuck in each other's traps, right? You both went like, we're smart enough to go. JB's like, yeah, I'll concede that the Avengers don't have the top selling comic. Meta was I'll concede that the X-Men movies aren't, the top selling, and then found ways to use that instead of getting stuck in a statistical pissing match. So you didn't get stuck in each other's traps, but then you also found ways to use it as well. Come on, chat.
Come on, guys.
Still only 6 of you have voted.
Click the button. How many people are in the chat?
Come on, man.
If the chat stays tied and Rob and I disagree, then this debate is going to be decided by a coin flip.
So it's dramatic. This is the dun
Come
dun
on, man.
All right. I will give
How much time
this.
do I have time to share it on my page and say vote for me?
You should have stuffed the ballot earlier and used those 2,500 and whatever many followers. But as
I
you
didn't know
said
we
today,
were allowed to call in
I did. Why didn't I do that? Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to guess that in the next debate, all of the burrito wives are going to show up in the stream. I'm going to guess that the boy, the 7 who belong to the boy are going to show up and vote. All right. So I will bring Mr. Boswell into the stream. Okay, we're up to 11. That's closer to where we are at in the chat. So, Mr. Boswell, who did you vote for and why?
Well, first of all, for both of you guys, my notes that I was taking, you both had very good point list. Just like Poser said, you came prepared. I wanted to give a kudos to Meta for the use of the word allegory. Very well.
Hey, my name is
JB.
Metaphorical.
Yeah, right. Hey, right.
Hey,
So,
that's true.
JB's
That's
the
good.
data, the clear execution of his points. He was very concise, and to be honest, it was fun to watch. This was clear. It was easy to see. I know there was some confusion with the original question, but I think you both handled it excellently. I'm gonna have to push the edge over to JB a little bit, so JB gets my vote.
All right. We'll go to see what the chat says. The chat also thinks it is very, very, very close. And the chat says on a 6-5 decision, the winner is JB.
Congratulations.
And for
You pulled it out by a bikini strap.
yeah, the way it will be recorded on the challenge bracket, I sat here and looked at, like, here's how I take notes with debate stuff. And I look at this. This is the page that Meta started with, and I think the fashion point was dope, right? And then here's where JB's case was. And I think where I got left kind of looking at how things played out is that Meta strategically attempted to play offense through defense. That he spent more time trying to negate JB's facts and then try and sneak some of the X-Men stuff in there. And I think the thing that JB said that was the most staying to me is like looking at the longitudinal impact and what drives sales now. And it would be the merchandising and stuff from the MCU. And I don't know why at some point Meta didn't say, hey, how many Avengers books is everybody pulling in a week versus how many X-Men titles are people pulling, right? Because you look at the number of active titles.
That, like, they don't hold, like, Avengers don't hold a candle to X-Men.
When I thought I was when it comes to
like comic books.
Come on, Meta, do you believe that?
I had that down there.
But
Hey,
like,
I thought I was arguing the other side. I was like,
I believe that Avengers
right now.
Sales wise, books in comic books, which is I thought what we're arguing. So like,
and I think
there would be no MCU. Like I'm saying, I'll go back to my point. There would be no MCU without comic books. So to say that in the media, which all this even comes from, that X-Men is more dominant in that media, that's not up for debate. Sales wise, like I'm saying, spinoff wise, any of that. I don't ignore that and say just because one has chronologically came out with a movie before the other because one was tied up in licensing issues and shit, or it would have been the X-Men.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. It doesn't go back that far. I mean,
if X-Men were not
about
tied up
10
in licensing limbo, you would have never Avengers would not have been the first super team that they would have released on Marvel. Are you saying that if Marvel owned
there was really good X-Men movies too, man. I enjoyed the X-Men movies. They just weren't that
Todd wins the day.
Are you
by pointing out that the most powerful Avenger,
if Marvel owned the rights to X-Men,
is a mutant.
If Marvel owned the rights to X-Men when they made the Avengers, which movie would have got made first, the X-Men or the Avengers movie? Be honest on the panel. Which one if Marvel owned the rights to both, which one do you think would have got made first?
We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I'm not saying. I'm asking.
They made good X-Men movies.
Which one do you think that they would have made the movie first?
Probably X-Men.
The debate continues. It is over, right? They can't change that.
I will say that I was seconds away from pulling a Rob Worst because if you look at JB's microphone and then you look slightly to the left on the shelves in the back, I believe I see a Cyclops pop, a Archangel pop, and a Beast pop, all from the Marvel 80 years, and I do not see an X-Men pop. Therefore, there's Cappy on the top, but higher than Cappy, you got Wolverine. So, all right, I'm gonna give Meta his. Whoops, I just kicked Meta off the stream instead of making it big. So, Meta, you can join the I'm salty because I lost to the Swift.
Never that,
Swift
man.
decision.
If I was gonna lose to somebody, it'd be JB. So, like you said, we brought it. We would have. Me and him would have been first and second in the whole lineup. We just happened to face each other, which was fair, I guess, for the rest of everyone else because it would have just been us at the end instead of now.
I'll tell you, when season 2 comes around
against JB.
Yeah, when season 2 comes around, I might go the Comigories route where they did some exhibition things to play with stuff between 2 seasons. I might do that a little bit, and I'll tell you, I think the people are going to come back again quick, fast, and in a hurry to see Floyd and Mayweather round 2 between Meta and JB. So Meta, before we let you go, what else you got going on? What do you want the people to know?
You guys know where to find us Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come pick up some awesome deal from my panel. The Mafia grows stronger every day. Don't make us come looking for you because we will break your legs. Besides that, it was awesome debating JB. Like I said, if I was going to lose to someone, it would be JB. So the rest of you guys, I don't think really stand a chance against beating JB. So I think this bracket is already decided, But beyond that, if you guys haven't already, hit me up on DM if you guys want to pick up the Mafia exclusive that we got dropping. So it is for crossover number 1, that new Donny Cates book. We do have a super, super sick artist on it, Justine Franny, really well known, probably one of the most underrated newer artists is coming up. So, hey, if you guys haven't, they're selling out pretty quick. We already have sold through 10% of the run. So, based on that, it'll only be a week or so that we'll have them and they'll be sold out. So, if you guys haven't already, man, follow up with me if you're interested. But thank you for having me on. I can't wait to do this again. I definitely want the rematch against JB next round. And thanks for having me. So
yeah, that was awesome. Like I said, if JB does not put this in the top spot in his own playlist tomorrow, and if I need to come on and be like, God damn it, this is good, and it's not JB like, look at me, I got my first win. Y'all put on a clinic. And hopefully in round 2, the randomizer doesn't pit the 2 of y'all against each other. But it was awesome. Meta, thank you.
Let's just give the people what we want, Poser. You know that they want more JB and Meta.
We'll create a weekly JB and Meta yell at each other on Poser's channel show, so I can hopefully get some of your 2,000 subscribers to leak into me. But Meta will send you off for the night, and I'm gonna bring back JB. JB, how does it feel to get what may very well be your first comic book themed competition win?
It is the very first comic book competition that I've actually advanced, that I won. So I'm pumped. Thank you for everybody that voted for me. I appreciate that. Meta, wow, you were bringing it strong, man. Seriously, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I can't wait for the next round. I will be more prepared this time. Next time, I'll know which side I'm arguing early.
All right. Aside from what's up today with Discovery Bay, anything else coming on in the near future?
As you've noticed here, I'll switch up to here so you can get all the bells and whistles. Whoa, there you go. Besides this show that happens, Monday through Friday on the channel, I like to sometimes do it somewhere between 7:30 a.m. Pacific and 9:30 a.m. Pacific because of homeschooling. You'll get this show. It lasts about 30 minutes. It's got all of this stuff going on the side, all those different segments. And then beyond that, I'm going to try and do some more pop-ups. I did a pop-up the other day where we alternated between a pop-up camera and an auction camera. And it worked out really well. So I'm looking forward to doing some more of those. It was fun.
Nice. And like I said, and I think I pushed you backstage when I said it, you and Meta put on a clinic, and if you need me to go, here's why you should watch this debate because JB and Meta were the gold standard of what I expected.
Top spot.
Yes. And the other thing that I'll say is
in the top picks.
If you didn't see the collaboration between JB and 1-2 Comic Talk, there was an Artist Alley that streamed today that I caught 15 minutes of, and then I had to go back to teaching. But if you want to watch very, very, very good interviews with independent artists and creators, then check that out on both of their channels.
Yeah. That was a collaboration. I'll be honest with you. I've been watching Artist Alley on 1-2 Comic Talk, and you get Kevin and Christy interviewing some of these amazing creators, and honestly, there was nobody watching them. Well, still very few people watched ours, but I think it'll grow. We did some special things with the description. We shared the artist Kickstarter page and some of their other links there, and I think it turned out really well. My involvement in it is just to be producer and director. So I was really
hopefully you all get some rewind watches because it's phenomenal. Yes, thank you, Bearded. Look at Poster trying to get JB on his channel again. There was nothing casual about it. It was, to be on JB's? No, I just text JB and go, can I come on your show today? But there you go. All right, so we're going to get things ready for the next round. But JB, you can now spend the next bit of time watching and scouting your potential opponent for your next debate. So notes. Thank you, sir,
appreciate you.
For all of your time.
Forget, we had a good time.
We did have a good time.
So
we
had
a great time.
We had a good time. Peace.
All right. So now we will bring into the stream our second debate. And I know that they were watching in the background, and hopefully they see how high of a bar that they've got to meet. Because like I said, and Rob agreed, and y'all agreed in the chat, the first two boys slayed it. So bringing into the stream 2/3 of America's comic-themed burrito, debating the topic and defending the side that Darkseid is the greatest mega villain. We've got, let's see, I have to do it in this order. I'm Todd, and I'm Cole, and then I'm going to bounce me and Rob to the back. And whoops, I just made Rob big. Nope.
Right, wow, fellas. Look at this. Oh, this feels familiar.
Why am I on the bottom? Oh, here. These are normal spots.
Are we supposed to be repping our brand?
Yeah, rep your brand and talk about why you're dressed like emo teens.
Oh, that's just because that's just because that's how I live my life. But also because
Darkseid
is. So we're the Comic Burrito. I'm Todd.
I'm Cole.
And we are missing Nick. We do a live stream every Wednesday. And I'm Nick. Yes, perfect. We do a live stream every Wednesday and Saturday. We usually have recordings up, but we actually have something extra special happening come Halloween time. So we've been having our recording slots be for something a little different.
It may be spooky.
But yeah, no, we are 2/3 of America's favorite comic burrito. Yeah, catch us Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays at 9 for our picks of the week. We are very non-spoilery, by the way. And then Saturdays is just, it ends up being anywhere between 2 and 5 hours of us just talking.
Or 1.
Or 1, I guess, yeah.
Also, Darkseid is.
All right. And bringing also into the stream, it looks like he has made it home from wherever he was. He is not the boy who had 5, 6, and he is no longer the boy who had 7. You just watched this man's epic curation of his top 109 eights, And when I turn around and look at my slabs, I can go, I got 2, and they're both Batman. One of the driving forces behind Comigories and one of the nicest people that I've met and bought a sweet X-Men Annual number 6 from. And he's already repping himself in the chat. It is Matt, who has settled into his new home in Texas, the boy who had 7. Matt, what do you got going on, bud?
Uh-oh.
Matt, you're muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Sorry about that. I was at football practice with the boy. Phone started dying. They ended practice half an hour early, so I raced home, got here in time, so I'm excited to do this.
Nice. I appreciate it. All right, gentlemen, we will do as we've done with every debate before. I will bring up a lovely random coin flipping application that I found by Googling flip a coin. And I believe the boy who had 7, Matt, you are the higher seed. So would you like to pick heads or tails?
Tails.
All right, so here we go.
There we go.
It
Never
is
fails.
tails.
Dang it.
Never
So,
Never fails.
Never fails.
Matt,
Ugh.
would you like to speak first or second?
I will go second.
Okay.
I will go second. What's up, guys? Good to meet you, by the way.
Hey, good to meet you.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Let's play.
And Burrito Boys, so I know who to click on to have the right 2 people on the stream. Who's asking questions first?
I'll be introing, and then Cole is doing the cross-examination.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes, and I'm going to make Todd biggie sized. All right, Todd, you have 3 minutes to defend why you believe Darkseid is the biggest or most important mega villain. I'll start when you start.
All right, I don't believe it. He is. Hey, everybody. Cole and I will be proving the side of Darkseid as the better supervillain over Thanos. Darkseid's inherent power and his incredible intellect overshadows Thanos's, while brilliant, one-track mind. And the eons of experience he has accumulated while being an immortal deity has easily made him the better villain over Thanos. But what makes a supervillain better than another? If it's just a fight, Darkseid has more tools and abilities in his arsenal to overwhelm Thanos. If it's who is the most threatening, it takes a gauntlet and a snap to get Thanos to his ultimate form. For Darkseid, it takes an equation and a thought, something faster than a snap. If it is who is the most compelling, I would show you the mass number of ways Darkseid has been used. He isn't constantly having to be the one to stop. He is layered enough to actually be a character, to have him have depth beyond having to win. He can have fun, he can be terrifying, he can play fair, and he can play dirty. He is a staple in DC Comics and DC animated universe for a reason. Thanos is Diet Darkseid. Thanos strives to find balance or destroy all life in the universe to get in Death's pants. Thanos wants to accomplish his one goal and ride into the sunset with Death. His goals are narrow and uninspiring. Darkseid wants to be the sunset. He wants to be Death. He has no intention of ever retiring. He wants to use his immortality to mold the universe to his whims. Darkseid is. He controls with a fist, an army, and his brain. His capabilities and machinations far outweigh a simple mission of killing. He wants to rule. He wants to control. He wants to be all there is. Darkseid doesn't need to use a gauntlet to get any of this done either. Time and time again, it has taken legions and the strongest teams in all of comics to counter Darkseid. Thanos is formidable without the gauntlet, but nowhere near Darkseid's level, which makes Darkseid a more compelling villain. Darkseid doesn't need a scavenger hunt of doom to accomplish his goals. More often than not, he accomplishes his goals in the shadows and only presents himself when necessary. Not because Darkseid needs to amass his strength to avoid detection, like Thanos, but because patience is one of his most powerful tools. For reference, Darkseid is 4.8 billion years old to 24,000 years old. It's broad range. Thanos is 500 to 2,000 years old. While also having an experience advantage, Darkseid also has the advantage of never aging and being able to never actually be destroyed. What does it take to kill Thanos? Drax ripped out Thanos' heart, got a god disease, and he does age as when he visited his future self. What does it take to kill Darkseid? It took the Anti-Monitor, Flash, and Darkseid's own anti-life equation to stop him. But according to DC Comics, Darkseid can be defeated but never truly destroyed. As long as malice and despair exist, the god of evil will always find a way to return and attempt to spread his tyrannical rule over all who live. So that leaves us with only one thing. Darkseid is.
I like how Biggie is roasting you for reading, but here's where I will swoop in to defend Todd and say that there was no one more excited as a former speech and debate kid to get the opportunity to strap the boots back on. So when I said, Todd, do you want to do this? He was like, I am writing. And I laughed because it was adorable. All right. So I'm going to kick Cole and myself backstage. Matt, you've got 2 minutes to ask Todd some questions, and I will start when you start.
Wow. Okay. I thought I was going to do my introduction. My bad. Questions. All right. First question is for you. You said that Darkseid has died a few times, but never really been finished off. So
He's been stopped. He hasn't been killed.
Yeah.
Because Darkseid's physical form that they see is a sliver of his actual presence.
Right. Okay. So my question for you is, and it's just 2 words: Batman Radion. If Darkseid is so amazing, how does the one superhero without superpowers take him out?
Well, he doesn't take him out. He always comes back, because as long as there's despair and evil, he always comes back. But that's one of the things that I actually like so much about him is he's been used so much that they use him in different layers. Because this isn't who's the most powerful villain, which is what I tried to mention. It's who's the best villain. And he's so great because they play him at varying levels of power. So you can have so many different stories within him. Whereas Thanos is basically, I am God and you have to destroy me. Thanos sometimes is underpowered, but it makes it interesting because like it makes stakes in the game. Yeah. Even though he also has this huge like uber deity crazy side, he also can be seen as somebody like beatable by Batman, which also everybody's beatable by Batman. So that doesn't really, that's not really fair.
All right. Second question for you then. Okay. We've got Thanos, who in his movies has made over $4 billion.
Okay.
And we've got Darkseid, who's about to come on HBO Max, and maybe a couple people will, pay the money and watch the video. I think honestly, pop culture, you could ask 100 people who either is, and 10 people will know who Darkseid is, and the rest of them will know Thanos.
I mean, according to IGN, Thanos is at 47 and Darkseid is at 6. If we want to go off of pop culture,
there you go.
Almost all rankings will put Darkseid above Thanos. Just because his movies made more, it doesn't make him a more compelling villain. It means he got lucky and got put in there.
That is time. So let's see. I have to kick Todd out and bring Cole in because Cole will ask Matt questions, and I'm going to make Matt huge. And Matt, I will begin my timer when you start talking.
Awesome, man. So let's start off with Thanos and some of the strengths and abilities that he has. All right. First thing is speed. The dude rides in the throne that can teleport at it instantly. It's like Dragon Ball Z instant transmission. Okay. So the guy, we know Darkseid's pretty fast. I think he can get to the edge of the universe within 5 seconds or something like that. Some of the research I've done. Well, Thanos will beat him there because he can do it instantly. Right. So there's one thing. Number 2, strength. Thanos is real strong, man. He's been able to lift 50 quintillion tons. I didn't even know that was a word until I looked this up. Right. So quintillion tons, that's a lot. 50 quintillion tons. So speed, strength, he's there. He's going to match Darkseid. They're going to fight. Kind of like, Darkseid to me, I guess he said, what was he like, the skinny version of him? I don't know. Sometimes people come up with an idea like MySpace. Darkseid was first. And MySpace was great for a while. And then, Facebook comes in and destroys the heck out of that thing. So I think Thanos is the better creation of Darkseid. The second time they did it right. Something else I love about Thanos and Darkseid, he's definitely intelligent. Great villain. I actually really love him a lot. But I'll tell you this, Thanos, his brain, the way that he uses it, I mean, he stared into the infinity well for years, and he's learned all of the secrets of the universe that he's in. And so, I mean, the fact that he can go out and get and collect all of the infinity gems, the fact that he can go and beat the Grandmaster at his own game tells me that Thanos right here is one of his best muscles. So someone just got here. I actually think he's driven by beliefs. Yeah, MySpace was great for a little while. Unlike Darkseid, you know, Thanos is doing things for love and he's doing things to protect the universe, which is twisted, but at least he's got a set of morals that he's following, right? And last but not least, actually, no, two more things. Death. He's doing everything for Death. Death rejected him in the end. You know, he doesn't win. He's losing. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. Daughters came in. Thanos was rejected by Death. Therefore, he can never die again. So he is absolutely immortal. And Thanos wins after millions and millions of years of sitting there and thinking. He kind of wins in the end. He's the last one left at the end of this universe. Beat Galactus, beat the X-Men, beat the Avengers, beat everybody. Had the spirit of vengeance as his surfer. So, I mean, the dude is awesome. And he collected the Infinity Gems. Anything he wants to do doesn't have to be done with a snap. If you read the story, which is my favorite story of all time, the snap is just for show. He can do anything he wants with a thought, change all reality, time, space, mind, the soul, power. He can do it all. So Darkseid comes into our universe with a thought, he's gone. And there it is. That is my thought.
All right. Do you need a second to deal with children before Cole asks you questions?
We're good, man. We're good. Thank you, though.
All righty. Cole, you've got 2 minutes, and I'll start when you start.
Thank you.
All right. So you mentioned that you thought that Darkseid is MySpace and that Thanos is Facebook, right? Well, did you know that in Rebirth, which came out in 2016, they made a baby Darkseid? Later on, did you also know that Cosmic Ghost Rider had baby Darkseid, which came out in 2018? So do you think Facebook would ever steal stuff from a dead MySpace if it was still dead?
I like the idea. But I didn't really hear about the baby Darkseid, but I did hear about the baby Thanos.
But the question was, do you think Facebook would steal stuff from a dead MySpace if it wasn't relevant?
I like the idea. Always taking things and making them better, man.
You also mentioned the DC, like how the Marvel Universe doesn't have, the Marvel Universe has Thanos, but DC hasn't really rolled out Darkseid yet. With the current movies, would you think it would be a good idea to roll him out like that if they're not giving him the Thanos treatment of 23 movies before they really show what this guy can do? I guess it was 22 before they show what he can do.
Yeah. I don't know if he's worthy of 23 movies, to be honest with you, man.
Okay. You also mentioned that he is strong. Thanos is. I mean, Darkseid is also proven like he is as strong as Kryptonians, which, I mean, would you say that they are just as strong as what you're saying Thanos is?
You know what? Superman has lifted something close to that 50 quintillion tons, right? So you take Superman over against Thanos, they're going to go head to head. I think Superman always wins in the end because he's Superman, but Superman always beats Darkseid anyway. So I don't know, man. I think they're pretty equally yoked.
You also mentioned how intelligent Thanos was. Did you know that Victor Von Doom is technically more intelligent than Thanos and also in the same universe?
I did know that, man. Victor Von Doom is a beast, but he hasn't done what Thanos has done.
All righty, that is time. So,
By the way, I love your guys. All your guys' people in the chat.
They stacked the deck. Although Todd is
Gotta do it.
strategically chatting when Cole is speaking, and Nick is just saying hi to people and then is saying Darkseid is.
Darkseid.
So who is speaking next? Is it you, Cole?
Todd.
Okay. So I'm gonna kick Cole out again. Bye.
He'll do the.
All right.
He'll be the last talker.
Got it. All right. So I'm gonna make you big again, Todd, and you've got 2 minutes to make your argument. I'll start when you start.
So yes, it is impressive what Thanos can do, but his biggest thing that makes him the biggest threat is when he's collecting some gems. Darkseid doesn't need to collect anything. He actually already has it in spades. Darkseid's inherent abilities, like the ones that just can't be pulled off and used by any old schmo in a mech suit, are devastating, which makes him a more compelling villain. It's not always about like stopping him from doing this thing or stopping him from doing like that thing. He can always be in the fray. He is a persistent threat. If you have your guard down, Darkseid can just show up because he also has a father box that, yes, I get it. Instant transmission versus 5 seconds. Cool. He can go somewhere a lot quicker. Once you get there, you still have to do things. In 5 seconds from edge to edge of the universe, very impressive. Then there is Darkseid's strength, which we talked about. You said 50 quintillion tons. Darkseid's rivals a Kryptonian, and Kryptonians go up to 200 quintillion tons. So that's a lot more quintillion tons than what Thanos can do. He also happens to just always have these Omega beams just strapped to his face. They are powerful enough to harm Kryptonians, which is wild. They can destroy planets, and they're fast enough to catch speedsters. And we're talking DC speedsters, not Marvel speedsters. We're talking traveling like space-time Speed Force speedsters. These lasers can catch. And then, also, whatever he destroys of them, he can also just recreate them with a thought. And then they can also be used just to torture. They can teleport and disintegrate. He actually can teleport somebody with the beams, move them to a different universe, and make them explode and destroy the universe. That's insane. And then they can disintegrate. So the ways in which he can be used and have been used makes him a pillar for villainy across comic books. He is truly more of a titan than even the man who hails from it. Darkseid is.
All right. Matt, you've got 2 minutes, and I'll start when you start.
All right. So big thing that you said was Darkseid doesn't need anything because he's got it all. So why does he go after the anti-life equation, right?
Because everybody's got to have a thing.
Not a question.
He's got to go after that anti-life equation because he can't beat everybody without it, and he can't become as great as he is, right? So one, yeah, he's still going after something. Number two, his Omega beams, they're legit, man. I love watching that. But guess what? I've seen Wonder Woman poke his eye out, and those Omega beams don't work anymore. I've seen his own Omega beams take him out. So if he's being able to get his eye poked out, Thanos could probably do that pretty easily. And if he can get hurt by his own Omega beam, yeah, that's just, come on. And you know what? Like in Thanos Wins, Thanos takes Galactus' head off with some Omega Blast from his hands. So, I mean, come on. He's punched a planet, punched it with his hand without the Infinity Gauntlet, blown that thing up. So, I mean, Thanos is pretty beastly. And he's pretty titanly in his own right. If you can punch a planet and take it out, you're the man. So, and that's all without the Infinity Gauntlet. What I will say is this, Infinity Gauntlet's on his hand. There's nobody that's beating him. Okay, Omega beams shoot at him. He turns them into silly string. Darkseid tries to teleport. You move quickly. Thanos has all the power of the universe, all the speed of the universe, all the space of the universe. I mean, there's nothing that Darkseid could do if he meets up with Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. So, although Darkseid is a beast and Darkseid can take on Kryptonians, I hear Darkseid is actually coming into the Marvel Universe. There's hints that he might be coming into Thor's run. Well, if he does come into this universe and Thanos has that Infinity Gauntlet, I think it's over. And I I think Thanos wins.
All right. Here's where stop beeping at me. I pushed the stop button. You still beep. I hate my phone. All right. Do the two of you all want a 2-minute back and forth like we gave JB and Meta?
I was going to say, I thought we were going to do a cross examine after this one too. So,
It's at the end of both.
Good.
So at the end of both of these, the two of you will ask questions back and forth now.
Oh, okay. We're changing the format. I like it.
No,
Keep
that
on
was
toes.
what was in the shit that you all never read because you don't look at Instagram. See, and
I've
Cole
asked
is
many
smiling
times.
because Cole knows you didn't look at the Instagram either. Okay, bye. All right, so I'll start your 2 minutes of asking questions back and forth now.
You talked about that he can punch a planet. Omega beams, he can look at a planet and do it. Also, if we want to talk about weapons being used against each other, that's how Thanos's own weapon, his gauntlet, is one of the ways that's destroyed him, is through that. And also, it was a dude who took it off of his hand.
It was a
and
girl,
did it.
and it's all.
I'm sorry, I'm talking
it's all plot.
MCU, but yes, also a girl. It's happened a couple of times, which isn't great. But also, there is, you know how you said that his eye, no eye beam. He still has telekinesis, and he has been blinded in both eyes, and he can still see because he doesn't actually need his eyes to see. So it's not, he can't even be blinded. That's how intense this guy is.
I like it. Man, I'll tell you what.
And he's 4 times stronger.
He is 4 times stronger. He has, he does have telekinesis, but so does Thanos.
No, I know. That's why I'm not making that a big point, because it's just like then you just get like that really intense like stare at each other, and then they're just like, ugh.
I'm going to say this and I'm going to say it again. Look, Darkseid is pretty much entropy, right? So he's off in some other place and he makes these little clones and they come and they do his bidding, right? And so
parademons.
Every time, say it again.
Parademons.
Yeah, these. Well, I mean himself,
his little guys,
his own body, right? It's a creation, and he goes out. That body can be destroyed. We've seen it. We've seen Superman do it. We've seen Wonder Woman do it. We've seen all kinds of heroes team up, take him out, right? So in the end,
every villain we've seen they've lost because they're villains,
right? So I mean,
and Darkseid's just in so much stuff. He's been beaten so many times because he's just constantly used because he's such a good villain. They just keep using him.
Yeah. I'll say this, man. He is entropy. He's out there, and he's in his own place. And the one time he was destroyed, DC Universe almost got destroyed because there was no more evil. He kind of he fills that void. But that's the DC Universe. Come on over into the Marvel Universe. You meet up with Thanos. You're not going home. That's all there is to it. So I don't know. I just think Thanos is unbeatable when he's coming up against Darkseid with the Infinity Gauntlet. And
but then all it takes, Infinity Gauntlet versus anti-life equation, he just makes Thanos do whatever the hell he wants. But he just switches it over. He just switches him on, and all of a sudden Thanos is just Darkseid's minion.
See, I like that idea, but with the ability to control reality and thought, he's not going to get the chance to do that. He's not going to get the chance to use the anti-life equation against Thanos.
But we're talking in split. It would be a good fight, but anti-life, there's no way, because Thanos can do reality. He can't take on the different. He doesn't change the other dimensions. He doesn't take on the gods. It's not like the gods disappear when he does his stuff.
Yeah,
he couldn't destroy Thanos because Thanos would be like, "Okay, peace, thanks." Even if he got to his physical body.
Yeeting people out of the stream because you don't believe in the sanctity of the timer. All right. So if I heard it right, Cole is going to be the one who makes the closing arguments for the Comic Burrito and for Darkseid. So you have 2 minutes, Cole, to make your final pitch as to why you believe Darkseid is the superior villain. I will begin when you begin.
Is Todd already provided why Darkseid is? I'm just going to add a few more points on why Thanos isn't. He's already mentioned how death is one things that Thanos wants. Darkseid actually captured an aspect of death in the form of the Black Racer to become his greatest weapon in Justice League Volume 2, number 45, which is something that Thanos has never done. He also mentioned how Darkseid has ruined himself, but Thanos' ego has given him his greatest weakness. When he gains omnipotence in the Gauntlet, it's almost impossible for him to lose to a fight. But as Warlock revealed, he ends up not considering the other people worthy opponents, and he ends up still losing that fight. The Gauntlet actually has been worn by Darkseid, but because they weren't in the Marvel Universe, it did not work. So Darkseid literally discarded it. So if they were to meet on a neutral playing field, Thanos' greatest power of the Gauntlet would not actually work. I mean, we already know that Darkseid is for many reasons. He's layered. There's so many incarnations of him that it just shows how good of a villain Darkseid really is. He can play his cards on any front, whether it be spies, invasion, one-on-one fight, and mind manipulations. It makes him the better big bad, which is what we're fighting for. He is so good that when Marvel ripped him off to make Thanos, in response to the New God's success, Marvel created Thanos, and Starlin, who created him, admitted to saying, if you're going to rip off one of them, at least do Darkseid, because he's the really good one. That was in the comic book Legions Revealed, number 266. But there's no denying that Thanos is great. But when it comes down to Thanos versus Darkseid, and who is the better villain, I think there's only one answer, and it is Darkseid is. And I don't need any more time.
That's okay, because you only had 4 seconds, and I could have taken away some of your time from Todd not believing in the sanctity of the timer.
That's why I kept it short on purpose to respect it, because we're respectful sometimes.
No. All right. Matt, you have 2 minutes to make your final closing argument as to why Thanos is the supreme megavillain.
All right. First of all, Thanos is the supreme mega villain because best story of all time written in comics, in my opinion, is the Infinity Gauntlet. So who's the big bad in that story? This guy. Best selling comic book movie of all time, Endgame. Who's the big bad in that one? This guy. Thanos has been in story after story after story. He's always coming up with a new way to be the big bad. He can't die because death has refused him to be in her realm. So the guy's immortal. We've seen in Thanos Wins that there are multiple multiverses where Thanos has won in the end in the Marvel Universe. I mean, in all honesty, Darkseid hasn't had a real big selling movie. He's been cool in some of the comic books, but he hasn't been the greatest big bad in the comic books. So I don't know. I'm going to have to say that Thanos wins, and I'm done with my time.
The downside of me having to take notes while people are speaking is Matt has to say I'm done, and then the camera awkwardly focuses on him while I'm like, I have to finish these 2 words. All right. Chat, I have dropped the link to the straw poll in down there. So vote for who you believe did the better job debating, made the more persuasive arguments. I'm going to add Todd in, and I'm going to let the 3 of you talk about what you thought about a debate about comic books in this kind of format, and I'm going to kick myself out of the stream while I look at my notes.
Really quick, should I go get my 7 kids to vote now?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
You should have prepared for that. That's on you. I enjoyed it. I think the hardest thing was for us trying to figure out how we were going to do it in a best utilized 2-headed attack.
Yeah, without it being like ganging up on, because like we worked on it somewhat together, but wasn't going. We didn't want to I'm glad it wasn't like both of us at the same time against you, because that would have been awkward.
I would have gotten a sympathy vote.
Yeah.
No, you guys came prepared. That was amazing. I mean,
this is like my favorite thing. I miss debate. So I love this, especially with comic books, because they didn't let me do that in high school.
two of your favorite worlds coming together.
Exactly.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
no, it's super fun, and we haven't actually got to interact, so this is also very fun that we've gotten to interact because I'm definitely going to check more of your stuff out. I did a little bit before this because
I was really hoping that your number one 9.8 was Darkseid first appearance,
Oh,
but I never ended up watching that because I ended up getting
Totally
sidetracked
easy
on vacation.
that'd have been amazing.
And then I could be like, you even love this book. I was hoping
Right.
it might be somewhere back there, but you were planned.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you watching. We recently moved into a new house, and I was not prepared for the night. But earlier today, I did a bunch of research on Darkseid, which, to be honest, I've always loved him, and but I haven't read as much as I should have.
Yeah.
Dang, the dude is a beast.
He is a beast, and the only point that you have that I really wish that I got to talk about was your end comment when he's never gotten to be the biggest bad and all of that, and it's like he was literally the focal point in a crisis, and he literally had the universe in his hand, and it took the anti-monitor and Flash and his own anti-life equation to stop it. Like he had it, and it was literally, oh man, it took like the biggest hitters of the universe and very lucky to stop it.
Yeah, I was reading about that today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is a beast, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought y'all's debate was probably as good as JB and Meta's. Because while they came up with like their own facts on like sales statistics and things like that, like both of y'all were citing like events in comics from history, like you were citing like biblical verses where it's like this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. So I think where this was good in its own way, and Biggie says it, I think I've absorbed 30 years of pop culture here, right? That I think you all did a good job showing that you were both, even if it was last minute research, y'all both conveyed the idea that you're both well read on each other's villains, because instead of like offense through defense, like we talked about, or I mentioned in the last debate, like you all were able to make solid comparisons about how the two of them functioned. So, although Nat did make my favorite argument that one person in the chat agreed with.
I tried not to say that.
That
I had it written down, but I didn't
Girl
even
took down
bring it in.
Thanos. And Nat only knows that because she's read one Marvel comic, and it's the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. All right. So
everybody, man.
Mr. Boswell has made his decision. Who, sir, did you vote for and why?
Wait, before you say that, do you want a 9.8 sent to your address?
Oh my god.
I mean, I could send you one too, I guess. It's not as good.
Yeah, it won't be as
is
good.
There a bar for it? Because
Just mention.
It doesn't have to be 9.8. It could be 9.2. Yeah.
Oh, so jealous.
First off, is it not Darkseid? Seriously.
Nah, it's Darkseid.
I'm joking. All right. I heard somebody say Darkseid earlier, but anyway, kudos to Matt for saying Thanos has morals and worked that into one sentence. So yeah, kudos for that. And Todd, that was the best grocery list of facts about Darkseid, however you want to say it, that you read. That was awesome. But in all honesty, you could kind of tell, and don't take offense to this, Matt, but you said it yourself. You were a little underprepared for this tonight. You wished you'd got a little more information. I'm going to have to go to the Comic Burritos for the win on this one.
All right. I think we know what the chat's going to say, because as Matt pointed out, the Comic Burrito fans showed up. And on, is it? Wow. Maybe.
I thought I'd literally get one vote from Biggie, and that would be it. So whoever else voted for me, thank you. You
got two, and I as I said, kind of in each of the debates where I kind of compare everybody's argument, I kind of look for one of the best comparisons, and I think the best comparison that came out at the end was the argument that Todd made in the second speech, and that Cole kind of hammered home in the last speech, that Darkseid was given the Infinity Gauntlet and couldn't use it because he wasn't in Marvel Land and was still able to destroy. And they make the argument that on a neutral playing ground, that Thanos would be more likely to lose because I believe, as Todd said, he's just a schmo in a mech suit. So I think, like, I wrote down individual issues that all of you were citing, because it's like, ooh, this happened. Oh, this one. But I think on that comparative basis, I would agree with Mr. Boswell and the chat. But I do think, like I said, it was a phenomenal debate, and even if you were you say that you were underprepared, Matt, I think your longitudinal knowledge of as long as you've been collecting and reading really definitely shone through, because you were able to do the same kind of awesome comparisons. So tell us, I believe today that you dropped a video that was a tour of the new spot in your collection.
Yeah,
Is
man.
that right?
So we, like I said, we just moved. We're still not finished, so we've been doing it every night. And I got this area set up so I could get back to YouTube. So I dropped that video just a little bit ago. I've got smaller space than I did in the last house, and it was tiny already. But the kids got more room. That's what it's all about. So, I just finished the 9/8, the top 100 9/8. We had the giveaway. I don't know if you guys know, from Heroes to Icons, but he won the first appearance of Terry McGinnis in a 9.8. So congrats to him. And then that was my giveaway. And then I'll be doing probably in my top 9.0s, my top 7.5s, maybe top silver. So I'm going to share some more of the collection. And Comic Gories will be back pretty soon. So look forward to that. I love some of the stuff that I see in here that I can tell you've kind of used from Comic Gories, and I love it. So great show. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it, and congratulations, Burritos. You guys did great tonight.
Yeah, and I'll say, and I've told you this in literally every one of your videos that I've watched, that I fanboy out when I see some 7 videos pop up, because I think what you do is great to someone who's relatively new to the game like me, where you drop knowledge and some science about things that you've been collecting for far longer than me, and I think you do it in a very approachable way. And I really liked your approach to the top 10 9/8s in your collection, because where most of the analysis we get would just be people doing the value, which I know was one of the 3 components you looked at, when the number 1 was one of the 2 books in your collection that belonged to your wife, and you kind of talked about what it means to you and the Corazon as part of it. I think that's a good kind of message to people who are going from buying boxes of weekly issues to wanting to create collections that mean things. So while I am sad that we don't get to see more 7 throughout the tournament, definitely I will come a calling come season 2, and hopefully you're not trying to move during a pandemic while your kids are starting school in Texas, where sometimes Texas believes in safety, but sometimes Texas, like Kansas, believes in liberty over everything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your but I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing more of what you've got going on, sir.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate that, man.
All right. Have a good night, and go back to dealing with the 7.
All right, y'all. Good to meet you guys.
Good
Yeah,
meeting
good to meet you. Thank you. It was super fun.
Awesome time, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I'm gonna bounce Rob to the back really fast, and
I'm so glad he wasn't more prepared.
yeah. So Burrito
God.
Boys, knowing what you learned from this experience, Todd, I'll kind of ask you, since I said that you were as excited to kind of lace the boots back up and use your high school debate experience. Was this different from what you were nostalgically tied to from your golden days of debating in high school?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, one, this is a different format, obviously. Doing it like sitting and a webcam and all of that definitely makes it different. And the fact that it was all about comics makes it like, because before it's like there's some stuff you have to do in debate class where you're just like, this isn't really an interesting topic, but it's what I was assigned. So what are you going to do? Whereas like basically any of these topics, if you threw at me, I would also be excited about. So it was really fun to like both do something that I miss, and then it be about a topic I can get excited about. So it was like a twofer. I was all like butterfly-y beforehand because I was all excited and like, yeah, it's great. I
will say that I think Greg just dropped the biggest truth bomb in the chat. The only people that would be that prepared are you and me, and I don't think he's wrong there.
I don't think he is either. I think that I think Seven. I'm very happy that Seven wasn't as prepared as he could have been, because he's very good at talking and he knows his stuff. And if that's his one day of Darkseid info, that's scary. But also, I think if he was, I think it could have went the other way, and he could have been really strong. So I feel very lucky that we got the result we did.
Now that you all know that you are debating the face of Discovery Bay Comics in the comic book community in the mornings, what kind of things do you all think you need to worry about in terms of now seeing an opponent and how that proponent prepares for the next round?
Oh, I think JB's going to be stupid prepared for the next one. If he stuck around for this too, I'm afraid he's going to be like really prepared, which also makes me excited. I kind of want that. Like I want that. Like, yeah, I want it to be like a split decision, like the end of Rocky 2 type moment where we're just like, God, and then it's just judge's decision at the end.
And we find out who wins in Rocky, or at the end of Rocky 1, we find out who wins in Rocky 2. Like cliffhanger, we'll find out who wins the prize in season 2.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna boot myself to the back and let you all plug what you've got going on in the burrito world one last time before I send you all away and talk to Mr. Boswell.
What's up?
This is
awkward.
weird.
Awkward silence is just like that.
Also,
I gotta
that's
fix
what you
this
can
because
expect.
Todd has to be in the right.
Thank you. You can drag now, I think.
Yeah, you can drag now.
Oh, that's yeah.
There it is. You dragged us to the wrong spots, maybe? I don't know.
We did it. Yeah, no, it's good. I'm Todd.
And I'm also
He's just gonna do it the whole time.
And this is gonna hurt your eyes, but we are doing a new thing on our Wednesdays where we're trying to give 15 minutes to 30 minutes to all sorts of other people in the community.
On Saturdays.
Did I say Sundays? Sorry.
You said Wednesdays.
Oh, Wednesdays. Oof. I'm still thinking about Darkseid.
We just want
if you want to hit us up on
competition.
Twitter and show up and talk, we can either do a small debate. You can promote your channel. You can talk about the comic book you're writing, anything. You can just show up and talk to us about your favorite book.
Mm-hmm. Try to convince us to read something. That was the last one. It's also called Drive Through Burrito because of Chris from Lost in Comics. He named the segment. It's great. So come be a Drive Through Burrito with us, 15 to 30 minutes every Saturday. So just hit us up.
If you're looking for spooky stuff, find us in October. We're also getting closer to 250, so if we can get 2 more subs, we'll be there.
And we have a Twitter giveaway at 1,800 followers, Nick is saying in the comments.
Oh, yep.
Thanks, buddy. Darkseid is.
Darkseid is.
All right. Yeah, so everybody who's down in the description below, you should sub them up. And in the same way that I said that Matt's content is really good and approachable to new collectors, and people who are new to wanting to learn about comics. That's one of the things that kind of got me hooked to Comic Burrito's content, because we met each other when COVID started.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I really like about their content is, when I saw this topic, I laughed because they knew I was excited that I got Mr. Miracle for my birthday in April. And they were like, well, then go back and watch our video. And I'm disappointed that there's not an appearance of a veggie tray in this video. But I like, in the same way that...
it was repping right here.
There you go. But I like, in the same way that they create, aside from their weekly shows, the stuff that they put out pre whatever they're planning for Halloween is good, timeless, longitudinal content, right? Some deeper, non-spoiler analysis of the different shows or the different books that they're reading, and then they'll play their spoiler warning and then have kind of a deep discussion. And while Todd and Cole presented as a unified front today, if you watch Todd, Cole, and Nick on any of their streams, it's what you would expect from three people, right? That it's a glorious shit show of different opinions. And it's what, I wanted to see in some of these debates on their weekly live stream, because you get them interacting with all of the different people in the chat. You get the different opinions from each other. And it's something that you can definitely watch play its way out with ease. So, gentlemen, I want to say thank you to the two of you very much. And I will send...
Thank you to Poser, our judge, and the audience. Thank you.
Well, you don't know your other judge's name, Mr. Boswell? Do you care
Rob
to change
Boswell.
the decision right
I was
now?
trying to do like the debate thing where it's like, thank you to the judges and the moderator and to the audience.
But I'm gonna send you all backstage. I'll message y'all and JB tonight and see if we can work on picking a topic.
Awesome.
But thank you very much, and we're gonna talk to Mr. Boswell.
Cool. Good night, guys.
All right, Rob, would you agree with me that this is the best of the 3 nights that we've had so far in terms of arguments and whatnot?
Oh, definitely. It's culminated to this point that it does very well. I mean, both of these arguments tonight, and I hope, like on this last one, that the Comic Burrito, that my little jab at the grocery list there was not taken too badly. I still gave him the win. So
yeah,
but my goodness, it is very hard to pick when you have people that are that strong in what they're trying to debate. So
yeah, I agree that I think if you and I both could have sat for 5 minutes longer and 5 minutes longer and 5 minutes longer, that for the two of us, these debates could have, been constantly changed from our perspective. But I think it's evident that while, JB said that he looked at the topic through the wrong lens, he found the right way to adapt. Oh, yeah, Greg is offended because he slighted in the showcase against me, and Todd is now backtracking, saying he can't forget your name. But I thought this definitely showed a little bit of the learning curve that we would expect from, a couple of debates in. I think you saw from Todd, someone reliving the glory days of high school debate, and Todd being able to show some of those skills now. Like, this is one of the things that I point out to students, that you should be able to prep out and talk about whatever at the tip of the hat. But I also think JB and Meta, with no experience in this kind of debate, or Matt, definitely showed that those are 3 channels that aren't just worthy with the bajillion subscribers that they each have, but they also kind of showed how a lot of comic book knowledge, like if there's one person who understands current trends in the market more than Meta, I would love to meet that person. two people, name me two people who are more charismatic than Matt and JB. Like, I think we got to see a lot of different, very cool things play its way out today.
Definitely.
So,
I was just going to say that, the fact that Matt was able to do what he did on such a short amount of time was just unbelievable. Like Todd had said, my goodness, if he had prepared, wow. So yeah, I would lose against everyone here. So
yeah. Well, and I even think based on what I did, that I would have lost to Todd tonight. Like when I debated Greg, because I was like, I know that Thanos snapped his fingers in the movie. Wait, is the anti-life equation the thing that's happening in Deceased now? Why is it in Cyborg's head? And it would make Todd mad, but maybe that would rattle him. And I think what Greg said is hilarious, that this is like Greg wearing his Letterman jacket at a high school football game. Now there you go. That's brilliant. So the last thing I'll show before ending the stream is here's your bracket update. So we've got 3 of the 4 quarterfinal matches set. Next week, we've got TK's Batcave throwing it up against Karate Kevin. And while I talked a lot about loving the pop culture live stream that TK and Mo from Dudes Talking Comics do, if you didn't see the video that I dropped today where I showed some new art pickups, these are some great pieces of affordable sketch art from Kevin over at the Superpower Review. You should go check out his Instagram because it's all brilliant and cheap. Yes, Todd, the answer to your Discord question. And then we've got Chaos and Dustin from Two Brothers, where for as good as tonight's debates were, the two people who I think, may be prepping the hardest are Dustin and Chaos, because they are putting their egos on the line for this pissing match. Oh, and speak of the devil, what's up, Chris? While you say that football game is boring, I'm excited that A, my Chiefs are winning, and B, that my boy Travis Kelce has some touchdowns, so it's a win-win for me. And yes, finally, yes, the Comic Burrito, you did win after asking it for a month now. But I think this was great. Like I said, I almost have no scruples showing this to my students who may not know anything about comic books, but can watch a good way to put arguments together and good way to communicate. So the last people I want to say thank you to Pappy, who Rob, I think it's adorable that you get to pick what your grandchild will call you, because my wife's husband wanted to be, I think, why can't I think of it now? I can't remember what he picked, but he is now Ida, because that was the closest thing that my oldest child could say to grandpa. So you can be Pap now, but we'll see how it changes. But congratulations. I know you ran home from work to eat dinner, and the Chiefs just scored again. So you can let your hair down and take some rest. You want to tell the people what kind of things we got coming up from Rob Boswell in the next couple of days?
Well, one thing over the next couple of days is went to a little signing the other day. Mr. Clayton Crane.
Is that the Cranebow on there?
That is my custom version of the Cranebow. I requested these colors.
That's cool.
And he said that was the first time he'd ever done one in this color. So
that really pops on that cover.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like it. So I'm gonna show off what I did there, and I've got a video breaking. I took video of the whole thing. Even the trip down there's got a video. So
nice.
Gonna do that, and then I've got a couple of. What's that?
Oh, he's in my town tomorrow. So I ordered some of those Infinity Gauntlet Maestro variants,
Oh,
that
yeah.
if they're in the if they show up tomorrow, I will drive over to the shop to get them signed. But if not, I have
Hey, he's got them there. You can buy them right there.
yeah, I already bought them once. I won't buy them again.
$30 a pop. Hey.
Oh, there it is, the collusion. All right, so I'm excited to see those. You know that I love popping in on your unboxings, and I still love to use your phrase of describing people as hunting peckers. It's never going to die. But I'm excited to see that signing, because I think the chances of me going to experience one tomorrow maybe on the low, because I don't have faith in the Postal Service here in the Midwest. So I'll check my tracking, but I'm definitely down to watch the tale of the signing, especially if you got him to create the Boswell version of the Cranebow. I think that's pretty cool, and it really pops on that cover.
Yeah.
So the last group of people I want to thank are the fine folks who have been in the chat all night, have stayed in the chat for good chunks of the night, have been in and out. We couldn't do this without y'all showing up and watching and roasting people in the comments and doing all of those other things. So to the 4 channels that participated tonight, thank you so very much. You should subscribe to them and everybody else that's listed in the description below. To the folks who are here in the chat, I see some of you making some comments where if I've got to find some people to reach out and contact for season 2, or some folks to get for some exhibition matches, I am definitely finding the types of people that I want to reach out to, and I will end this the exact same way that I end literally every single video that I do. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.